Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here. Today we're going to be taking a look at my Vault speed build. Now there is other builds that you can have for Vault, such as the Discharge build, but my main usage for Vault at the minute is just using him to quickly speed run through like a mission like Capture or Rescue or something, which is relatively low level, doesn't require me to stealth or anything, and just means that I can fly through it a lot faster. Vault is definitely one of my go-to frames whenever it comes to just getting things done really, and he was my go-to frame back in the day whenever like tire capture missions were still a thing. So realistically, all the speed build comes down to is throwing on a bunch of power strength and then having a lot of duration. You can also throw on a little bit of range, so that means if a player is close to you, you can obviously share your speed with the player, but you're able to do that anyway, and chances are if a player wants your speed bonus, they're going to stick relatively close to you, and they'll communicate with you. They'll say in chat, hey, can I have your Volt speed buff? And it's an ability which is very recastable because it's your second ability, which means it doesn't cost that much energy. Even whenever we throw mods like Blind Reg on, it's still relatively easy to cast. Not to mention that we have things like energy pizzas, we have energizing dash in the Xeneric focus tree. Just a lot of different ways to regen our energy quickly so we can get speed off relatively fast. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the actual stats of the ability here. So it costs us, with the build that I'm running at the minute, 31 energy to cast speed, which is, it's alright. It's not a lot of energy. It's pretty good. But you gain a brief boost of movement speed, which affects all allies in range. Pretty good. So the range of this build is 8.5. It lasts for 22 seconds. The speed multiplier is 2.22. And you also get a reload speed multiplier of 1.43, which can in turn increase the DPS of your weapons as well, if you use it right, of course. Like if you want to throw like even more strength on, then you can go ahead and do that. But let's just go ahead and jump into the build. So taking a look here, we have Blind Rage and Intensify on here for our Power Strength, along with Power Drift on the Excellence slot. We have Streamline for some efficiency on the ability, Narrow-Minded and Constitution beside one another to give us a lot more duration. You could potentially swap this Constitution out for Prime Continuity if you wanted to Forma again. Personally, didn't really want to Forma again. So maybe actually I could do this if I were to, let's see, if I put Intensify there, for Prime Continuity here, that's actually a lot better. So just correcting my own build in the video here, that makes a lot more sense actually. So you're going to get even more duration here, and you're still going to have the same amount of power strength. It's pretty good. Throwing Prime Flow on here, so we have more energy, just for general usage in case you want to use your what's it called, your electric shields. You have an energy to cast, that is always good. You don't necessarily have to have Prime Flow, so you could go ahead and take that off and then throw on something like Constitution or Augur Message. Personally would recommend Constitution because it gives you plus 28% ability duration compared to the plus 24%. So Constitution is just like, it's a lot more. So there's that. And then we have Vitality on here for health. Again, don't necessarily need this, but if you want to take Vault and the speed build and the higher level missions, it makes sense to have it so you don't just get melted by bombards. So I like to keep it on. That and slash procs, toxin procs, they're definitely a thing which can kill you in this game. So Vitality kind of helps mitigate the chance to die in, I guess. So percentage chance to die depletes with the more health you have, type of thing. So unless you're going up against enemies that one shot you, then you're kind of screwed. But we can't all be like alive 100% of the time, otherwise life would be no fun. But we have Rush on here as well, because if you guys remember, it actually said that speed acted as a multiplier to your speed, if that makes any sense. So having Rush on here and increasing your base sprint speed is actually very beneficial, because then you have a 2 times multiplier of your base sprint speed, like your current sprint speed, and then you're just a lot more faster. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the stats again, because we swapped around some of the mods there. So we have a 28-second duration, a 2.22 multiplier, and a 1.43 reload speed boost, which is pretty good. And then we still have that 8.5 range, which is, as long as the player is relatively close to you, should be good to go. We have 70.5-second duration on our electric shield, and you can see all the other stats of all the other abilities. They don't really matter too much because we're not necessarily modding for them, but you can obviously see the damage for our discharge have went up, the health, the effect duration has went up, and also the damage as well. But discharge won't be an ability that you're going to use with this build because the range is just so small that it wouldn't make any sense. This build is strictly for upping your reload speed, upping your sprint speed, upping your melee speed, and kind of just flying through missions. So what I recommend doing is crafting a weapon like a Zaw, maybe an Orphos Prime, an Atarax that has, you know, Prime Reach on it. Combine that with Prime Pressure Point or whatever, and then basically like just jump in here and you know, kill everything. I guess that's basically your goal. So what I recommend doing is creating a build that looks a little bit like what I have on my Atarax for focus farming. So if we go ahead and we take a look at config B here, you know, this isn't like a great build. You could obviously get a lot more damage out of this, but you know, this is what I use for focus farming because I'm able to keep my combo multiplier up and stuff like that. So it just makes a lot of sense for me. So prime pressure point on here for your base damage, prime reach for the reach, obviously. So, you know, we're killing a lot of enemies with one swipe. Blood Rush to keep our combo multiplier up. Combine that with Maiming Strike, that gives us 90% flat crit chance. Drifting Contact on here, so you can keep your combo multiplier up, so you're dealing more damage. If you're running the Narmon Focus Tree and you have Pyre Spike, you can actually change this out for another Elemental mod to get more damage, which is totally up to you. Organ Shatter on here for more crit damage whenever you do crit, because we're going to be critting like almost 100% of the time because of Blood Rush and Maiming Strike combo. And then Berserker on here, obviously to make ourselves, you know, melee a lot faster, right? So it just makes a lot of sense. So Atarax is, you know, an awesome weapon, but you can replicate this build on, you know, pretty much any, you know, polearm or, you know, ranged melee weapon. So I just said, you know, way too much there. I don't know why. Because I'm super tired, but it's whatever, man. It's fine. So just to give you guys an example of your base sprint speed, this is just, you know, Vault casually running around here, and then we just go ahead and we press 2. We have our speed buff for about 28 seconds, and, you know, we are a hell of a lot faster. And because we're a hell of a lot faster, you kind of get more momentum going whenever it comes to parkouring and stuff like that. So you're going to be able to jump through the missions, like, a hell of a lot quicker. Not to mention, you also have, like, you know, your Vault Shield here, which will, you know, benefit you greatly whenever it comes to, like, just actually, you know, dealing a bunch of damage to, high level enemies, because it actually does increase your crit damage. So if you're able to spam this on the ground, so let's say you're using energizing dash, you give yourself the energy back, you put down a few shields, you shoot through them, and you're, you know, trying to kill like a high level enemy like a bombard or something, it's going to make your life like a lot easier, because you also have those up for 70 seconds. So just placing about, you know, 3 or 5 of them will, you know, benefit you a lot. I keep on saying, you know, I don't know why, it's just the thing that's happening, ignore it. I don't know why I'm saying it, but it's just there. It's a thing that happens. So, you know, there, I just did it again. But yeah. So also increases your melee attack speed, so it increases your DPS when you're meleeing. Great on weapons like the Oma, great on weapons like the Atarax. So let's just actually test the Oma out, because it was pretty cool. Let's just go ahead and throw it on. I like this weapon. Kills enemies very efficiently. Let's just go ahead and make it look pretty. Show you guys the builds. So I have a pretty cool ribbon on here as well, which is pretty cool, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't call it pretty cool. We're going to go ahead, spawn in a heavy gunner, like so. Gonna press OK. Gonna make myself invincible. Gonna make him level 150. Gonna press exit. Obviously, Volt isn't the tankiest frame in the game. Does have decent health stats and shield stats and armor stats, but, you know, you can 110% get frames that are better at melee and stuff like that. So, for example, Valkyr does pretty much the exact same thing that Volt's able to do by increasing your melee attack speed with Warcry. That, and you can also extend the duration of that per every kill with the augment called Eternal War. So it just makes it a lot better. It's just minus the sprint speed type of thing. But if you want to go full melee, I recommend Valkyr over Volt. But you have the crit damage on your shields. You've got the speed on your 2 for your melee, and then you also have the reload speed on there, which is super awesome. So, you know, weapons like maybe the Soma, if we go ahead and throw that on. Let's just get it on. Here we go. Soma has a 3-second reload, so usually it takes a long time to reload. Go ahead and reload it. Super boring, right? But you use Volt's speed, and then we reload again. Slightly faster, so it's going to let you dish out a little bit more DPS to enemies and stuff like that. So I actually have a Hunter Munitions build on here. Pretty good build, especially whenever it comes down to taking down armor targets. So if we just go ahead, we spawn these guys in. We can also make use of the electric shields that we have. So I like to spawn in about 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we use our energizing dash, get a little bit more energy. Now you can up your crit damage with this build, and then electric damage, stuff like that. He'll die relatively quickly. Of course, he died super fast there because we're using Hunter Munitions, we're using Jill Stat Elemental mods, we're proccing Slash procs, Pyro procs. We also had the Electric proc go off there because we're shooting for the Electric Shield. We had the increased crit damage. It's great. You know, I definitely recommend this build. It allows you to do a lot with Volt, and there's multiple ways to do it, like I demonstrated at the beginning of this video. So, this is the final look at the build. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.